Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm back on my J.G. Ballard series with this video, and I'm going to be doing a lot of Ballard. I think Ballard is one of the greatest authors of the 20th century, not just within the genre, but within literature, period. His stories are amazing. And this story, his 20th published story by my bibliography, which may or may not be accurate. This story is titled Billennium. It was published in November of 1961 in New Worlds number 112. And it's been very widely collected. It's one of Ballard's better known short stories, and it is just a short story. It's one of his better known works and one of his very often collected works. In my own collection, I have this story in the original paperback collection appearance, which is titled after the story, Billennium, published by Berkeley Books in 1962. I also have Billennium in Chronopolis and Other Stories, which is from 1971. And a Carolyn Graff edition of The Terminal Beach, which is a collection of short stories that was published in 1987. And of course, in my Bible, the complete short stories of J.G. Ballard, which is where I read this. And it is, if you're a J.G. Ballard fan, you can't live without a copy of his complete short stories. This is a great book, and not currently in print, but available used. I've seen plenty of copies out on the internet. So Billennium is about John Ward and his friend, whose name I'm forgetting. He's an employee at a library, basically a office worker type person working in a library. This is a near future story. Ballard excelled at looking at our own planet in the near future. And he said he really had no interest in writing about alien worlds, or, he felt the most alien place that he could write about was right here and close to now. And so most of his imagination took him only into a short ways into our future, where he saw trends developing out of the world that he lived in. And one of those trends, which was a topic, I don't know so much about 1961, but by the late 1960s, this was a hot topic and resulted in a lot of great science fiction. Like there's one of John Brenner's books that deals with it. And of course, the classic that was made into a movie, Make Room, which was made into Soylent Green, dealing with the idea of population growth out of control and what the world would be like if it doesn't ever level off. And in Ballard's future, and I don't know where the title Billennium is coming from for this, because it's not referring to the number of people. The number of people he puts down in the story is 20,000 million. And we have billions of people in our world today, and we're not anywhere near the level of this story of overpopulation. But in this future, nobody has a whole house like I'm living in now, because there's too many people. And so everybody is, in order to support all those people, everybody has to be confined to the cities. And so they can only get a very small area to live. What I've heard of Tokyo, that their Not quite as bad as what Ballard describes here, but most people in Tokyo, Japan, are living in extremely small places and paying ridiculous amounts of money for them. Kind of like that, only now take it a ways further to where people are living in rooms that are 4 meters square. Um, and that's at the ceiling, and the walls are tapered. So the 4 meters is up at the ceiling, tapering in. So you have less than that down on the floor, and that's your entire room. A married couple would typically get a room of 6 meters, and these aren't rooms like I'm sitting in now where it's completely contained. These are actually just cubicles like you get in an office, with makeshift walls. And throughout the story, John Ward and his friend constantly are confronting the rules changing to allow landlords to make even smaller divisions of spaces, so that now a 4.5 meter room can be sold for a couple. And they're selling broom closets for single people. They're renting broom closets for single people. Well, John Ward and his friend, they rent this space that's very small. And it's just a cubicle. It's not really a room. But a piece of wood paneling comes loose in their cubicle. And they look through it and they see this huge empty room, like a 15-meter square empty room. And it's been closed off and forgotten for many, many years. So they secretly sneak back in there because they're the only people in the world that have that much room to themselves. Well, then there's these two girls that they are friends with, but they lose their place, so they invite them to come with them. And then the girls want their aunt to come and live with them, and then they want their mother to come live with them, then their father to come live, and so now they're dividing this up smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And as it gets smaller, it loses its humanity. It's the only way I can describe it. And I feel that's what Ballard is trying to get at in this story, is that as we do that, as we become more and more crowded, we have less and less personal space, that we're going to lose more and more of what makes us us. We're going to lose the, we'll have to lose art. We'll have to lose craftsmanship. We'll have to lose decoration. Everything's going to be down to just the barest essentials. And there'll be no more humanity to it. There'll be no warmth to these spaces. We're going to feel claustrophobic and trapped and lost. And that's what makes Billennium a really, really powerful story. And that's why I'm making it a top tale. It is a favorite story. It is an incredible story. And just a short story. It won't take you long to read it. So this is where I say, have you read Billennium? Leave your comments in the comments section of the video where everyone can see it, because I really do want to hear what you think of this story. And come on back, join me for a lot more J.G. Ballard. The next one coming up after Billennium is The Gentle Assassin. I hope you'll join me for that and all the other authors and stories that we talk about here in Telltale Books. And until then, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and help us out. We're getting sizable, but we could be bigger. I think what we're saying here in Telltale about these old stories is something that needs to be heard and needs to be remembered. And we've been introducing people to some things that they never knew existed. But these stories have been out there for longer than we've existed. And they are great stories. You just got to give them time and give them a chance. They're not Brandon Sanderson, they're not Sarah J. Maas, but they are so much different and so unique and so beautiful to read. And I hope you'll join me for the next one.